topic is the mystical nature, the principles, and also the movement in Greenland, which is quite a unique expression of the principles. And so we wanted to get together and share that with people. The power. Where's oh, there you are. Oh, I didn't see you. Yeah, the first thing I want to express to people is that when talking with the people, I've noticed the way I see it is Mette Louise Holland is the elder of the group. She's, through her book and through the teachings that she has done, she has brought the three principles to a deeper level within Greenland. So she is the primary elder that has been teaching, and I guess I'm maybe an auxiliary elder type of person, but the major thrust has been through her, but the real thrust has of course been through the people, because Sid has always emphasized that it's an inside-out experience, and the power of the insights are the power that drives a change, a transformation in a community and in people. And so Mette has been lucky as an elder to find an audience of people who goes along with her nature, which I'm going to call a very beautiful, soft feeling of nature. And that expression has emerged, and it's been kind of unusual, ladies.
Hi.
In the sense. Hi, nice to see you. It's been unusual because for me, in talking to the ladies, the Inuit, or the people from Greenland, do not have much culture like they do in North America with the North American Indians, which we call the indigenous people there. They don't have the stories, and they don't have the elders' teachings and so on. And I think that is one of the reasons, Mette, why you were able to connect, because they didn't have the confusion or the other types of teachings to contradict some of the things that the purity of the message that you're sharing, the purity of the principles. And so what was surprising to me was when I heard the insights of these beautiful ladies, how indigenous they are. And so they don't have the teachings and the stories as connected like you see in the North American Indian way. Yet the connection to nature, the connection to the mystical side of life intuitively came out of them. And that kind of is our concept in three principles, is that we are expressing who we are, and that happens naturally. And that's what I've seen here. They sound Indian when they express, when you hear their insights and so on. You don't need all of that stuff to be who you are. And so when I listened to some of the stories of these beautiful ladies, I was struck by how they sounded so indigenous. And within that, when Mette let me know what was happening, it was like the spirit went, and I said, holy mackerel, she's caught the feeling, and holy mackerel, these people, there's something happening here. And that's how we did the Steve and INUIT thing, is because of when you sent that incredible. And that's, before I turn it over to Mette and then to ladies, that's what struck me was how she got caught in the feeling of it. And so the ladies are the power that drives the movement, and anybody who comes along just has to say thank you very much. So with that, Mette, maybe you could say a few words and then bring it into the ladies. Did that make sense, Mette?
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm glad you called that very special, rich feeling that I get from these wonderful people. I don't see myself as an elder in this group. I see myself more as someone who carried the message, and I was really surprised about how deep they caught it. It started out. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. My colleague Grete, who's also a psychologist working from this understanding, I asked her in February or something, do you have anything, like any dreams for this understanding? And she said, I'd really love to take it to Greenland, because she's got this big heart for Greenland. She's worked there once, and she's visited Greenland many times, and she absolutely loves Greenland. And then 2 weeks later, 2 or 3 weeks, something, a short period of time, people from Greenland started to contact us out of the blue. Absolutely, we absolutely didn't have anything to do with, I didn't have anything to do with Greenland before. And then people started to contact us and asked for Skype coaching, Skype conversations about the 3 principles, because it appeared that my book had reached Greenland and very quickly got people interested, and people started to read and listen to Sydney Banks, and it was catching on up there. And it was so fun to see how life works in mysterious ways, because suddenly it was Greenland all over. I think within a few weeks we had several clients from Greenland. And both Grete and me were really touched by the depth we very in a short amount, in a short period of time, we got in these conversations. It stood out, and it still does, from the Danish conversations I have. There's like almost everybody heard this really deeply. It was not just, oh, thank you for letting me know that I feel my thinking, but also, whoa, I really feel oneness, and I really see how everything is love. Love is all there is. And that it was so refreshing, and so I was so honored, and still am, to be part of that. And just like, I feel like I'm just listening into this. I'm just very happy to be near these people. Then we visited you in September, and it was a beautiful experience for me and Grete. And we arranged this conversation, and we've also done a couple of webinars. We did one in Greenland language, and we did one in Danish. And it's interesting to see how big it gets in Greenland right now. I learned that there's 56,000 people or something like that in Greenland. And you have more than 600 people in your 3 Principles Facebook group where you all speak Greenland. That's amazing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but some of you told me that there was a short talk from a cafe, or not short, but an hour-long talk in a cafe, in a small cafe in Nuuk, that some of you did, and it was recorded. And is it true that in a few weeks, 3,000 people have watched it? Something like that, maybe more now. But these numbers are amazing. I mean, 56,000 people are speaking Greenland language, so it's quite a percentage.
Community feeling, the indigenous feeling is a community feeling, a oneness feeling. And when one is affected, it just naturally goes out. In our culture, it's more individual, and thus so the collective feeling of the indigenous people is powerful, and that's what sweeps you into it, is because we love it. That's our natural. That's who we are naturally. We are naturally all family and communal. And if one of the ladies moves, sees something, we all see something. And that's beautiful, really beautiful. And that's very impressive, by the way. Yeah. Maybe we could have some of the ladies talk a little bit.
That would be wonderful, because that was what I would like to start, end by saying that to me, this understanding is like playing a game of soccer, and I had the ball and I kicked it up, and some Greenland people took the ball and they're taking on the game, and now I think I'll just sneak out and sit on a chair and watch this game.
Yeah, that's great. I just want to mention one little, you said you don't see yourself as an elder, but maybe you don't understand what an elder really is. It's just the person who happens to be able to share something with people with love. And that is an elder. And anybody who thinks like nobody, we're all in the same boat. So it's kind of an elder.
I can live with that. I just don't want to take any credit for this, because it's obviously not about a person sharing.
That's an elder statement.
Okay, good. But I would love to hear some of you share your stories. I don't know if you know it, but if people hear your stories, it'll bring so much hope, so much inspiration, so much insight. It's like having little pearls in your pocket, and you can spread it out and make people happy.
So let us hear a few pearls. Yeah.
Where do I start? I heard about the 3 principles, very short, from Arnfjord, who is in this call too, in our old Facebook group about self-development, books and materials where we share. But it didn't really took my attention. But later, when my sister spoke about it, there was something different about her, and it made me want to read something about Sydney Banks. And then I read Second Chance, because I saw it was his first book, and I wanted to start from the bottom. But there was not really big epiphany, or there were no insights there until I listened to an audiobook from Mette, Louise, when I was on airplane from Denmark to Greenland, and I started to listen to it, and I relaxed in the airplane, and I just sit there and listen, and I had nowhere to go, and I had nothing to do except just listen and relax. And it certainly hit me where I was seeing myself from up above. I saw how symbolic I have tried to improve my life. I have misunderstood how thought worked. I saw that I was in a big tube where I have tried to control my thoughts by, for example, thinking positive thoughts and visualizations, just like everything I have read from self-help books. I have read so many different kind of methods and ways to improve my life or other people's lives. So when I saw that I had put myself inside the tube, I saw that I stepped out of that tube while I was listening to that book, and suddenly I was in the air, just flowing in the air. I was like in a valley, but I didn't come down and fall down, but instead I was how do I say, just be in the air, and I was floating in the air. When I was floating, it hit me that I don't need control in any way to have a good life. I just need to be in that invisible energy, spiritual energy that created everything. And then I was finally in peace and in trust, and in it was so delicious to not control anything and just be, and only be and just live and just be surrounded in this invisible great energy. That was my first insight, and it meant a lot to me, where I finally surrendered to that energy and let go of control, and it was delicious. And I remember I took my how do I say it? The headphones, and I was like, I finally got it. I've done it wrong in all the time. I've done it. I have misunderstood it, and now I got it, or something like that. And it was wonderful. And I knew that the woman next to me, she didn't understand what I was talking about, but I was finally, I finally figured it out. So that was my first insight, and it means a lot to me.
The mystical expression with no teachings from the old way is still the old way of experiencing what you saw. It proves once again that it's inherent in all of us, expressed in your way, in the indigenous way. It's very, very beautiful.
My connection to nature, it's like everything is love. The ocean, every little particle is living. Like the ocean are many living particles. The animals, it's like a connection for me to the other side, like signs when I see something. I don't know, did I tell this story about many eagles last when my husband died? I think I did.
You could tell it again. It sounds like a beautiful story.
Okay. My husband died last year, and he knew that I loved eagles. I have loved them since 93, when I have an experience like I had my little child, and I was very, I feel very alone in the world, and nobody understand me, and I go to the nature, and this eagle came to me like it was right up there, and it come closer and closer and closer and closer. At last it was only 10 meters up, and I hold my little child and thought, what do you want, or something? And then I make a picture of it, because it was so, it was big for me. And then somebody saw me making this picture, and she told me, you are safe. And it was like, I waked. up, and since that I have loved to see eagles. Then my husband died, and he knew also how much it meant to me to see eagles. I went to the field when he died, and there was eagles around me there, and I was going down, there was one more, and next day I was in sorrow, and next day I go there also, and there was eagles too, and there was one standing at the side of the mountain, maybe 150 meters from me, when I went up, and then I asked, tell me what these eagles mean. And I have closed my eyes, and when I opened my eyes, an eagle, big eagle, landed near the water, and another new one, younger one, came straight away. And when I went down from the mountains, I saw this standing eagle again. It was 2 days, I saw it right there. And then I told this eagle, tell me who you are. I don't know. I think I show me if you are my husband, like that. And just right after, it flew, and I was not so near our house, but this eagle flew and flew and flew right over our house. And then after that, I make a rule for my husband and the eagles. I told him, when I see eagles, it is not you, only if you stand there at that spot.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. When I first met the ladies last week, talking to them, I had a bunch of eagle feathers, and for whatever the reason, this is mystical, these are signs, I just gave it to Lena. I could feel the connection that she had to the eagle, and shared that with her. And I saw that as something special. And Lena, just to show you a feather that I got from one of the indigenous ladies, it's this one. It's a turkey feather. And the reason she gave it to me is because I'm such a turkey. Yeah. It's a joke. Okay. Anyway.
Can I just tell you something? I love when you say, it will be fun. I love that.
Me too. Me too. We're all just kids.
Yes.
Playing in heaven or in a wonderful playground. Yeah. Yeah.
I unmute now.
Okay. So perhaps someone else can share whatever it is that comes to your mind, whatever feels good for you. Have beautiful stories, all of you, and all are precious. But in the native world, we call it sacred. That is the native, indigenous world. Everything is sacred.
I can talk a little bit. So when I first, Ivalo sent me, or Ivalo sent our core group of the three principles in Greenland, we have a small core group, and where we speak with each other on a daily basis, where we share our insights and so on. And when she first sent us something about you, Harry, and what you speak about, also about the indigenous people having some kind of special understanding of the three principle, or something about us being able to hear it very loudly or very naturally. And the first thought that came to me was, how can that be? Because we're not I have not been taught by my grandmother or grandfather or any elders about old ways from Greenland and so on. And what we have left, our cultural heritage, is what I feel is the well, if you see it as like it being spoken to us and given by words, we don't have so much of that. And I know in this speaking group now we have Nayetava, who has been brought up with, lucky enough to have grandparents that comes from the shamans. But me, I don't, and I have not heard about any other than Nayetava having been taught or been told stories about old ways. So I was thinking, how can that be? I don't do I believe that, or I couldn't really, because I think my intellectual tried to find some kind of intellectual meaning in it all. But then we talked last week, and I've been thinking about it a lot these last weeks, that somehow, without it being taught in words, somehow it's just, there is something there that I don't know how to explain. And I was thinking about us Greenlandic people. One of the cultural traditions that we have is something called mask dancing. And this mask dancing is a person being black in the face and drawing lines in the face, and it's very symbolic. And you go, and the one that does the mask dancing is for a crowd. And what we do, I do mask dancing, and what we do there is to it's like a performance. So in this performance, the mask dancer uses every emotion that the person can have, from being angry, being jealous, being playful, being sensual, being sexually harassing people, or being cute. And all these kind of human emotions are what we show and express in a loud way in this mass dancing. And when I was growing up, I was taught not to have emotions. It was not allowed. And I have a lot of emotions inside of me and a lot of thoughts. So this was my way of expressing this huge amount of feeling that I have, and also coming home to owning my emotions and owning what it is to be a human person and to have this human experience. And just these last days, I really see that also drum dancing also has survived. So we do have some cultural heritage that is really strong, and stronger than we think it is, or at least what I have thought it is. So there is definitely something that it is unexplainable, but just there is something about us listening and hearing what the three principles are really about.
That's, see, the essence of the three principles, the purity of the three principles are spiritual. Even though the essence of what has gone out is psychological, It's the essence of Sydney Banks's teachings, your spiritual nature. That's why Mette and you connected, because she may not use that word all the time, but she expresses it naturally. And that feeling is what has created the change in you and the change in everybody who's been transformed by the three principles. And all it is an expression of who you are. Who was the lady you mentioned has some old teachings? Is she here?
That is Nayetava.
Maybe, if you wouldn't mind, I would love to hear a few words from you.
Sorry, I cannot talk now. My girl is crying now, so I cannot talk now. Sorry. Maybe later.
Okay.
Yes.
So who else? How about you, Susanne? I don't know you, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My English is not very well, but I can try to tell you something that what do you say? I was hiking from Kangerlussuaq to Sisimiut. It's a route about 180 kilometers. How do you say in English?
Exactly like that.
Yeah, okay. And when I heard about the three principles from Ivalo in March this year, 2018, and I have a very difficult time at that time because I was, what do you call, my husband and I, we are separated, and I have this not very good thing to think about. Maybe I want to kill myself or do something that could hurt me. Then she said she read a book on the airplane about thoughts. These feelings came from thought, and I was thinking, no, this cannot be true because it hurts a lot inside of me. And now when I am listening to you all that had that they are talking about, then I was thinking about how I can see that what thinking makes feelings, how do you say? And I can see that when we was hiking, I was just right here and now at this time in 5 days. And maybe the day before we came to Sisimiut, there was a very bad weather, raining and cloudy and windy, and we have to hike for 20 kilometers to get to the next little house where we can sleep. And we was wet and tired, but we have to get to the next little house, and we was only two women that hiking together the last 4 days, and both of us was thinking about our our father who already was died, and we were thinking of them, and we we pray for that the sun will come so we can get warm, and it will be the good hiking for the last time, the last maybe 5 kilometers. And then we were in the, we walked with the beach of the lake. Can I say that? Yeah. And then suddenly the other woman said, "Can you see the rainbow?" Yes, we could see the rainbow. There is a lake here, and we walked beside the lake, and the rainbow just, it was big, but we could see it from this end lake and in this lake, we could see that. And we walk again. Then I said to her that I have to stop here because I want to take my coat on. And we just stopped with the beach, and it was windy, and the lake was, what do you call it, the rivers. And then suddenly the rainbow, it came bigger and bigger and closer to us. Maybe only for 1 or 2 meters, the end of the rainbow, and then a very big rainbow, but it feels like that you can touch it, just like here in the 2 or 3 meters. And it feels so alive, just like it moves. And then I was thinking, oh, I will take my cell phone and I will take a picture of it. And I was trying to find it from my pocket. And then it suddenly, what do you say? It get back and what do you say? It moved back, and then it came. Then we can not touch it any longer, and just disappeared because I take my cell phone and I want to take a picture of it. But it was, I can't explain how I can describe the feeling to be so near with the rainbows, that it feels so alive. And we talk about it after our hiking, when we were in the little house that we have to sleep over. And we just say that we have the same thinking, the other woman and I, maybe the same thinking about our fathers that was there to help us or to give us some power for the last 5 kilometers, so we could get to the little house and overnight. And then the day after, then we could see the city, and my thought, I came back to the real world again, that I have to think about my troubles in the, what do you say, hverdag, my troubles in all these days. Every day. And then now I can see that it was thought and living in the moment. All these things I can see it now. When I was in the nature, I was in the moment in 5 days. And when I saw the city, all these thoughts came back, all my troubles, all these things. Thank you.
That's very beautiful. I want to bring up a point for the ladies. In the mystical side of life where all the beauty lies, the three principles keep you grounded. It's very easy to get lost in the beauty and the magnificence of that experience that Susanne had. That experience is where all the new visions of the people will come from. Naj, there will be new expressions of the old ways coming. All ceremony and everything came from visions from within, and like that. And then a message from the spirit that you then shared with the people. But it's easy to get lost in that. I would, speaking personally now here, Susanne, personally, it's easy to get lost in it. But with the three principles, you're grounded, you're guided. You don't get caught up in, is this true, that's true. You just know. I'm not going to go farther into that. You just know. And so the beauty is you can walk into the mystical because, of course, the three principles are who you are, you know. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Another? We have some time. How about, what's this Arn? Your names are impossible to pronounce. Arn. Can you? Yeah.
Hi. I haven't been speaking in English for a long time, but I'll try. I can tell you about one insight I have had. I can remember when we were kids that my grandmother used to tell me about stories about old cultural way of living. Just remember it now while talking here. But we were brought up with alcohol abuse, drug abuse, sexual abuse. So my whole childhood was like, I couldn't feel anything. I didn't allow myself to feel. So I thought feelings were, I didn't allow myself to feel at all. So when I first read or listened to Mette Louise's audiobook, it came to me that there's nothing wrong with me. So it was like a huge rock fell down from my back. One insight I had about feelings was one night I laid down. I had this energy in me. I could feel the energy. Something was moving. And I gave me into it. I thought, just listen to it. And then I began to listen to it. And then I came up to the clouds and I could see the sun. But the sun was so bright, it felt so good, shining on me. But I got further up to the universe. So I could see a big cloud. There was sun inside of it. There were, the whole picture, the whole scenery was so beautiful. I just was looking at it It felt like forever, but it wasn't. Just sucking up its beauty. After it, it was in August when we were in Denmark. We had deep listening practice. Deep listening. How do you call it? We had an exercise in Mette Louise's class about deep listening, and I was telling about this story, about this experience I had. And it struck me that it was about feelings. The clouds in Mette Louise's book was about different feelings, good and bad feelings, if we can call it like that. This scenery was about feelings, the clouds, the suns, everything in it was beautiful. And it struck me that my feelings, bad or positive feelings, are good, no matter what. So I began to embrace these feelings. But on the other hand, I knew that already. I had it inside of me all along, but it was so beautiful. All feelings are allowed. It was my insight. So when I feel bad or listening to my thoughts, it's easier now because I just sit down and just listen to it. I can see the beauty in all feelings now. Thank you.
Go ahead, Lena, unmute yourself.
I thought about something about the nature again after Susanne talked. This gift from the nature, and we understand inside what it means. And many years ago, I have a very big gift. We was going to the field near the ocean, 3 or 4 women, and suddenly we saw at the field, it was like in spring, and in the field there was drops from it was wet and there was drops. And when we went to this spot, maybe 2 meters, we could see these raindrops. No, it was not raindrops. The snow was melting. And every drop, I saw first the very red drop. And then I said, look at this. It looks like a very red stearinlys light. And then I moved a little more. Then we saw every drop have another color like 10 different colors, not like we used to see without color. It was so beautiful, and I will never forget in my whole life. And sometimes we know inside, wow, this is a gift. Or maybe every time, I cannot remember what I thought that time, but it was big.
It's called gratitude, Lena.
Yes. Thank you.
Louise, can you share a few things? And then Tina, could you talk about what it feels like to be a parent with this understanding, since you have your little baby there? So one.
I really don't know what to say right now, but our grandmother was a lot in the nature, and she used to bring us when we were children to the nature and get some berries and make Greenlandic food and stuff like that. And she had that connection to the nature somehow, and makes medicines of different herbs and flowers. Somehow she could connect to those herbs or flowers, and I don't know, maybe she taught us to be part of it or just be in it, and that's what I can think of right now. I haven't much to say right now.
It's beautiful what you're sharing, Louise. Sid, one time when I was working in an indigenous community, he said how important culture is, or the connection to the indigenous feeling was. He connected it to self-esteem. And at that time, I did not understand that. But when you were talking about your grandmother, you can feel your self-esteem. And that's how the natives do it. They go like this, the energy connected. That's your grandmother's teaching, and it makes you proud of who you are, which, by the way, is a good thing. Yeah.
I'll mute myself.
Tina, can you talk about your beautiful baby and what it feels like to be, I think, fairly young mother? I'm not sure how old you are, but a younger mother than, certainly younger than Susanne or Harry. Yeah.
I don't feel safe to speak English. Is it okay if I speak Danish?
You could speak whatever you like, certainly.
Nu når I snakker om natur og sådan noget, så kom jeg i tanke om, hvor vigtigt det har været for mine forældre at tage os med ud i naturen, da vi var lille. Hvor vi sover i telte og ud og fiske og plukke bær. Og så kom lige i tanke om, at de var en af mine største oplevelser fra min barndom, hvor jeg føler mig tryg og være et med naturen, hvor jeg og bare kan være mig selv. Hvor jeg ikke behøver at bekymre mig om noget som helst, hvor jeg bare overgiver mig til naturen. Og så i mine teenageår, og da jeg var ved at være voksen, så bruger jeg meget naturen som min gemmested-agtig, for at hente fred. Og det er det eneste sted, hvor jeg kan føle mig, at jeg er et med alt, uden at behøve at have nogen form for roller eller noget som helst. Og jeg elsker at bestige bjerge og sådan noget. Og så, da jeg hørte Mette Louises bog, så kunne jeg endelig, så følte jeg endelig roen ind i mig. Følelsen, som jeg kunne genkende, når jeg er op i bjergene. Stilhed ind i mig selv. Være et med naturen. Og roen. Som jeg ikke havde kunne føle i hverdagen, som var blevet så naturligt, efter jeg mødte de 3 principper. Det, at man ikke behøver at anstrenge sig først for at opleve den oplevelse, at være et med sig selv. Det at endelig komme hjem til sig selv. Det har været en stor oplevelse for mig. Den oplevelse.
If you want to grow, you share. That is the only thing I understand. When we come on together here like this, sharing, we all benefit and grow because we step into mind. But of course, in the indigenous word is not mind, it's spirit. We step in spirit. And it's not the spirit, it's just spirit. Universal spirit, great creator, or whatever we call it. Nobody owns that. We're all just lucky to participate in whatever way we share. But to understand, if we share, we help. We help with love and understanding. And you don't have to worry about making mistakes, guys. There aren't any. I'm proof of that. Yeah.
If we have time, I would like to speak a little bit. Is that okay?
Oh, of course.
Before growing up, I also had the same experiences as Tina is talking about, as being home in nature. When I was small and my parents took me out boating and sailing and going, sleeping in tents and fishing. But at some point, when I was about 8 or 10 or so, my mom changed her career. And after that, she became, I don't know what happened with her inside, but something happened. So she became not really being able to function and in social settings. And also we stopped going to nature, and we became as a family more closed in, like protecting ourselves somehow. And also when I was a teenager, I experienced something that had lasted for about 20 years, formed my life. A person did something to me that he wasn't supposed to do, and that haunted me and kept me crippled in a lot of ways, and it infiltrated my thought system and so on. And then after meeting beginning to hearing and having insights about the three principles, it became apparent to me that I was about to forgive this person, and I knew that I was going to do it. But when I was traveling there with the purpose of, I didn't know then that I was going to forgive the person, but when I traveled there, something inside me didn't want to go. I did not want to go. Something inside me told me, no, 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 I'm just not going there. But when I was at the bus, and there was about 30 minutes or so to arrive to this town, and I was speaking to Nayet Dava on the bus, and it all just came to me, and I had a huge insight that, wow, my ego has been trying for me not to go there, because my ego knew that it was about to not being, it would have nothing to eat, and it would have nothing to grow on when I gave this, when I forgave this person. And my feeling was so big that I was suddenly sitting in the bus, and I was like, I was connected to everything and everyone. And when I was thinking about, wow, it's not, well, it was not only my crown chakra opening, I found out and I felt there is no crown chakra. We are everything and everything. We don't need to open some kind of crown chakra to connect to this amazing oneness and this mind and this spirit. So it was a huge experience for me. And then when I came to this person and I sat down in front of the person and I said, it's done. It is no more. It is no more. And speaking to this person and giving my forgiveness, I knew that suddenly I knew there was nothing to forgive, and my experience 20 years ago became smaller and smaller and smaller, and suddenly I tried to feel it, but there was nothing to feel, because it didn't even happen. It's gone. This experience I had 20 years ago, the crippled 20 years of my life, is gone. It's nothing, because I saw the beauty in the person sitting in front of me, and I saw the wholeness and the person being intact, and all I saw was love, and all I felt was love, and I knew that people are psychologically innocent. I think that is one of the biggest insights that I've had until now, aside from finding out that I'm not broken. And then after that, I knew coming home to Greenland again, because this happened in another country. And I knew that coming home to Greenland, now I will be able to really connect with nature. And after that, us going to sailing and going to the family cottage or cabin every weekend, that we go sailing and go sleep there, waking up in the middle of the night and go to the loo. There's a window, and I just feel one with nature. And I absolutely feel the stillness and the amazing love that surrounds all this. And everything seems brighter and more beautiful. Everything tastes better. Love feels more like vibrant, and I felt so much love. It was, and I knew that nothing that, for example, like I have had thought systems about what love is, and it just crumpled away, and it just fell, because all there is just love. Love. We're all love. That's what it is. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Something is coming to me like being in the now, and knowing that you are supported all the time. The last years I have felt like sometimes I am going to jump from the cliff in new things in my life, and sometimes I saw myself like an eagle or an owl when I was going to jump from this big mountain. But every time I think maybe it's not very good, or it's good. Something is coming to support you every time. Like once I was thinking about, how do this woman do this very nice job in her life, traveling to places and get some like something. I thought, wow, how can I do that? And I didn't ask anyone or talked about it. It came in a month. Some doctor asked me, can you be with us in this project? So I live right now and think about the world is good.
Well, it seems we are coming close to the end now, and I have a story, but Mette, can you tell us a few feelings that you have experienced in this beautiful collection of spirit today?
Yeah. It really doesn't have words, does it? But I'm so grateful, and I feel I have been told. When I heard you before, Tukumek, that is teaching. That is so deep. And I'm sure everybody who hears this seminar will be deeply touched. And I was thinking, when I started to learn what the principles are, or I got interested, I saw people speaking about it, like in videos, and I saw this light in people's eyes. There was so much life in these people. There was like not much shadow. So they really came through. There was this special light, and I remember I was like, I want this. I want that too for myself. And that is what I see in you when you speak. You see so much light coming into the world in your eyes.
That's beautiful. Scott, could you tell, they don't know you. Could you say a few words of what you've seen with this feeling that's been shared, which of course is just spirit?
I want to thank everyone. This has been great. I mean, I've been so touched and moved, and just to hear the stories and the stories about nature, and it's been really, really, really nice. I guess what comes to mind is, again, the connection that we all have. You know, I enjoy that. It's funny because sometimes it comes as a surprise, even though you know it's there, but when you make the connection, then it has a life all its own, you know, which is really kind of cool. I'm really trying to find the words too to describe it. I think being touched by everyone, seeing that, I guess I go back a little bit because when it all started, I was excited and had these dreams that this would, you know, get out in the world, you know, and now it is. So it's like, it's sometimes for me, it's kind of unreal. I don't know. It was funny because I haven't traveled much, and I always like to watch shows on television. We got great TV here in the States. And I remember we had taken a cruise on a ship, and we stopped, and there were some indigenous people. They were the rainforest, and I've been watching these people all my life. And when I got to meet them face to face, it was like I couldn't hardly believe, you know, that I had actually met someone. So I think what's the nicest thing is that we all have expectations of things. I know I do, but with an open mind and whatnot, you'll go far beyond whatever you expected to find or to see. And I think that surprise for me is always very inspiring. It really is, no matter what it, you know, what it has to be, or what you're seeing at the particular moment. I guess that's all that I would have to say. I mean, there's so much going on, but you can't describe the feeling, you know, it's just, but thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed every one of you talking. It was great. It was great to hear it. Thanks.
I'm just going to finish off then, first with thanking everybody. I want to, what came to me, what came to me was the story. I met this native elder in Sundance, which is a ceremony where they pierce their nipples and so on, and very interesting. And he and I connected immediately. We had never seen each other, but it was like we were brothers together. And he told me his story. At 65, he was brought up in the old ways, more like the grandmothers that were mentioned and so on. And at 65, he was fishing and not making any money. So he said, forget about it. And he started to carve. He'd never been taught. He just started to carve. And he carved a totem pole. And a German man, a tourist, was passing through and says, that's beautiful. Can you make me one too, a smaller one? He said, sure, and charged him a bunch of money for that. And he carved it and sent it to Germany. And then all of a sudden he gets all these orders from everybody. He's never marketed, and he gets all these orders. And the next thing you know, he gets the Order of Canada. He's talking in the Smithsonian. He's becomes internationally famous. No teachings, no backgrounds. He just used his feelings. He never carved with it, like did the picture up. He just carved, and then the spirit would tell him what is next. That's all. That's all you have to do. And with that, I guess thank you so much for participating. I've really enjoyed this. This has been really, really beautiful. And I hope we'll do something like this in Denmark, in Greenland, you know, together. And we could do it in Greenlandic or in English or whatever. But this has been really special. I hope, you know, I really admire what happens here. But please remember, it's my dream too. And what I mean by that is you guys are inspiring me, showing me why I walked into the Indigenous world, because of that feeling that I love so much, Mette loves so much, Scotty loves so much. It affects people in a very beautiful way. And we all know, someone said love. The world needs more love. And hopefully we'll help a little bit in that area.